I'm Sally, and I'm here at the Frontier Culture Museum at the English House, and I'm going to be making a meat pie today. And meat pies were made by all classes in England, and basically you're going to start by making your container. And with your container, you're going to have various flours. You're going to have some whole wheat flour, rye flour, and of course some historic flour. And then you're going to be going ahead and you're going to add, this is warm water that also has beef tallow in it, and it can have also lard, some kind of animal fat, and then you're going to have your water as well, which I have in here. You're going to mix that together, and then after you do that, you're going to be rolling it out. It's going to be about 1/4 of an inch thick because you're going to be making your container. Basically, a meat pie serves a couple purposes. The first thing it's going to do is going to basically be like an oven for your meat. Basically cook it, keep the juices in and everything like that. Is because if you are cooking meat on the spit, it's going to dry out and you want to keep those juices in and everything like that. The other purpose for your meat pie is preservation. You're going to, because it's airtight, you would be able to keep the meat pie and not eat it for several weeks, or eat it when you need to. Now, if you are the king, they are going to be using, they can afford to use mansion flour or like a white flour because they can throw it out, or someone can go ahead and eat it. But these folks, they're the top of the working class, the yeoman farmer. He's not going to use like a white flour or historic flour that could be made for mansion bread that you're going to eat. When you have the container, you want to make a container, you may use it multiple times or at least several times and then throw it out. Why would you do that when you want to have that white flour for making bread and eating that? So that's something to consider. So basically that's what you're going to do. Now, that being said, right back here we have our bake oven, and that's where we're going to be baking the meat pie in. You're going to heat that up for 3 to 5 hours, generally about 4. And then what you're going to do after that time, you're going to put the coals and ashes in the pit in the bottom. And then what you're going to do is you're going to actually, believe it or not, wait a little bit, and you're going to put your arm in the oven. And if you can keep your arm in and slowly count to 3, then you know the oven is the right temperature. And then the door would go on and you're going to be baking whatever you're baking, in this case meat pies, by radiant heat. So what goes in the meat pie? Well, to begin with, you have your beef right here. You could also put in mutton, you can also put in fish. Also, you could put in like quail or lark. Those are some things you'd be putting, meat choices you'd be putting into your meat pie. You would also put in some fruit like currants right here. And you put in an apple. That's very nice. Then we have vegetables from the garden like the peas right here. The English are known for their peas. And then we have some other vegetables right here. We have turnips, as you can see, carrots. And by the way, they're not orange. At this time, and it's between 1650 and 1680, you are going to be having white carrots, could be a reddish carrot, could be a yellow carrot, that's what we have. And then we also have onions right here. So those are some things. I did not mention the spices. Here we are, we have mace, cinnamon, cloves, and salt and pepper. Okay, now that I have made the meat pie here, what I'm going to do is I would be carefully putting it on this peel right here and put it underneath, making sure to flour it very generously. And then I would come right over here to the bake oven. And what I would do is put it in. However, not like this. What I have to do first is I would have to take the holes and ashes and everything out and put them in the pit in the bottom. And that pit is simply for storing ash, which, by the way, you can use to make soap later on. That's another story altogether. Once everything is out, then you would go ahead and sweep this out so that you have all your coals out, any residual coals that would be completely left. And you would generously, you would go just like this, you can see here, and you would carefully put this into your bake oven. And you would cook that for about an hour. And you notice that I do have slits in this meat pie, and that is so that the steam can escape, and then the meat cooks and all the vegetables and fruit cook and the spices and everything like that. And that is how you make a meat pie.